This is True North Story, the original podcast series. Learn, love, listen, live. Are you ready to discover your True North Story?
Hi, welcome to a special edition of True North Story. I'm Tama. We've got such a great day for you today. We're going to bring you what we are most thankful for on True North Story. And we're going to have snippets of some of our most favorite podcasts over the past 9 months. We've also got with us a special guest. It's Nic, our producer. We adore Nic. He is such a great guy, and he is a huge part of True North Story. So we've got Nic in the studio with us today, and we're going to be talking thankfulness. We're thankful for you, too. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. All right, so for Thanksgiving, let's just each of us go around and talk about like our favorite podcast so far for 2016, because we're not quite done with 2016, but we got things to be thankful for. So,
absolutely.
Who wants to go first?
Absolutely. Who wants to start?
Ooh, I'll start.
Okay, Nic.
Let's see. For 2016, a lot of people say 2016 has been a terrible year. You know, a lot of deaths with celebrities, musicians. You know, and
for sure.
You know, the whole presidential election thing. A lot of people aren't fond of the outcome of that, or even the start of it, you know. So,
right.
But I don't know. I always told people, okay, like a couple weeks ago, our Cubs won the World Series. So, like, already starting with that makes it at least a good year, you know.
Right.
You know, even with everything else going on, you have to appreciate that.
Historic year.
Oh yeah, very thankful for. You know, I finally started to work in radio like full time and be able to live off of doing something, you know, that I love to do.
And you're good at.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome. What was your favorite
What
True
do you
North
think?
story?
I might have to say the Dr. Gottman one.
Yes.
I think, yeah, that one, like I was telling John, that one just resonated with me. And like, you know, there's all these things that constantly come up that I'll be thinking about a relationship of some sort. And then I apply something that he said to that, and then, you know, kind of analyze it in a different light. When there's something like that sticks with you, you realize that was pretty important, that was pretty impactful.
Yeah, exactly. If it sticks with you, and if you tell other people about it,
right,
it's important for sure.
Well, and I think too, I mean, you're not alone. I mean, that is a one of our best podcasts. People love it. People have interacted and engaged with it in a really fantastic way. I think the relationship part of it, to your point, Nic, is kind of the hook. You know what I mean? It's like people want to know what can make their relationships more successful. And I think there was a lot of really great, insightful, impactful information that Dr. Gottman had woven into that podcast. So there was a lot there.
Oh, for sure.
For a man to really love a woman and have a great sex life with a woman, he has to understand women's relationship with the emotion of fear.
What is it about fear?
You know, the interesting thing is that women, part of our evolutionary history is that women are the caretakers of children and have the ultimate responsibility in a way for their survival, even though fathers have become more nurturant and more involved. And as a result of that, women have a heightened awareness of danger because they have to keep kids safe. And also, the world is a really dangerous place for women. We know that, you know, somewhere around 40% of women in America have either been physically or sexually molested. So the world is not a safe place for women. And so, you know, one of the things that really came out is that the number one trait that a woman looks for when she's dating in a man is trustworthiness.
I'm trying to think of who was like super meaningful to me. Well, I can think, I just want to say, for me, one, there were so many good ones, but Allison Levine was amazing. I grew up with her right across the street.
Yeah.
I mean, I could throw a softball and, you know, it would land in her front yard. And she was like this incredible person in middle school. It was like she ran for student body president, you know, and everybody was like, wow, Allison's just, you know, she's got her stuff together when she was 13 years old. So the fact that she, you know, did climb Mount Everest and all the major peaks and overcame a heart condition and now speaks about overcoming adversity and leadership. And she had this whole idea of just keep trudging forward. And if you make a few steps forward and you go back, that's not a negative. That's, that's how you work your way up to Mount Everest. You go up to a certain level and then you have to like work your way back down in order to get up a little higher the next time. So each time you're accumulating, it's a cumulative effort and you're making yourself stronger. So you're learning from your setbacks and you're learning to keep moving forward. It was very, very inspiring to me.
Plus, she's just like a super awesome person.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just her personally. Like she is just so affable and so outgoing and upbeat and fun and
she's fun to hang
cheerful.
with. Yeah, absolutely. She's super fun to hang with.
I think fear is actually useful in these environments where you just don't have control over what's going on around you. So I think once you accept that things are going to change, I can't control it, you got to just roll with it. You got to be able to change up your plan. And I kind of look at it that as something challenging and something adventurous and something that's fun. I like not knowing what the future holds. And as long as you have a good team with you, and your team could be your expedition team on the mountain or on a polar expedition, your team can be your best friend, your classmates, your work colleagues, your family. You just have to surround yourself with a good team. And as long as you have a good, solid team, you know that you're going to be okay in these changing environments that you can't really predict what's going on.
How about you?
What else, T?
I'm thankful for good health and for friends who've gone through major health things this year and have come out on the other side in a positive way. So never, ever take our health for granted. You know, the fact that we can get out of bed and get through our day. It's a blessing to have good health.
Amen.
Yeah. And let's see. What are other podcasts that I loved? Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's this mom that I met, and she's the most engaging woman. She has this British accent. You're just kind of drawn to her because she's just fun, and she sounds a little bit different than the rest of us Americans. And she was telling me about her son. Oh, you've got to meet my son. You've got to meet my son. I was like, who's your son? His name is Bonds. You've got to meet him. And so I was like, well, I'd love to meet him. So she helped facilitate that meeting. And Barnes Courtney.
That was fun.
Is blowing up the charts now.
Yeah.
Who knew that you would see him, his music on Wimbledon, on NASCAR, on Michelob commercials, Miller Lite. This guy is going places.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yes.
And he's also like an awesome guy. I met him like face to face a couple weeks ago or so, and I was like, "Hey, just wanted a chance to meet you and did the podcast." And I just gotta say, like, I really enjoy everything you do, and like your music is amazing. And he was just like, he's super humble, just awesome guy and hilarious, And you could hear in the podcast, he's just always joking, doing funny voices and stuff. He's just like, it's contagious.
Yeah, exactly. So he and his music is just amazing. His EP is coming out. He's like the rags to riches story. I don't know, like so many comebacks. Many comebacks. So it's in such a young man's life, he's got a very bright future ahead of him. I'm really excited.
Well, he's certainly an inspiration to other striving artists and musicians out there, because boy, I'll tell you what, if you're persistent, you don't give up, you get that one break. And he is certainly an example of what can happen when you have talent and that talent gets discovered. And he is on fire. He's been on Conan O'Brien's show. He's all over the place. His music
South
was
by
used
Southwest
in the South by Southwest in the film Burnt. Right, the closing credit track is him. So obviously he's got amazing talent, amazing vocals. He's going places, and that was an exciting podcast.
It really was.
I really firmly believe that if you want to be a musician, you shouldn't have a plan B. I fully condone putting all your eggs in one basket, because it is an incredibly competitive industry, and there is no way that you're going to get an upper hand, the other people doing it, unless you just throw yourself headfirst into it and you just decide, this is what I'm going to do, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out along the way. I think my parents told me to make sure I had a plan B. That's what life taught them to do. But it's not just me that feels this way. You know, I've heard Ed Sheeran say that in interviews. I've heard businessmen talk about that. It's so important. You just have to make the choice. Like, this is the way it is, and there's no alternative. Right. If you want to be a musician, as in like someone who's writing their music and touring their music, session musician's a little bit different. But if you want to be a touring, writing musician, I'd say just go out and do it as soon as possible. Go and start playing gigs. Write songs as often as you possibly can, and get out and gig them and put them out into the world.
So those were mine. How about you?
Wow. Let's see. There's so many to choose from and so little time. Your partner loves stories and loves films and loves writing. And so I was just thinking about all of these different guests that we've had, and we've had some really amazing musicians. Chris Lane is another just straight up solid country guy that's a rising star, who is a lot of fun to get to talk to him. I would definitely suggest, if you like, good looking young country guys who sing really well. I got your fix. I'll be there and never let you down. The one you crave when no one is around. I'll pick you up and never let you go. Never let you go.
I'll tell you a funny story about when I was in high school. This is actually very embarrassing. Back in high school, I used to be the guy who would fall head over heels for every girl. Like, not every girl, but girls that I would, start dating. I would be like way over the top, like would do anything for them. I had a big heart, just wanted to make sure that I gave them everything that I had in me. And I felt like back then girls would run all over me because of that, because they knew they could get away with anything and I would still be there. So I would literally do this. I would sit on AOL Instant Messenger talking to my girlfriend, because back then I don't think we had cell phones. We couldn't text and stuff. I would listen to Backstreet Boys songs and like R&B songs and stuff like that I loved at that time. And I would sit there and type out the lyrics to them. And I would cry over the lyrics because I was like so in love with them. And I felt like I meant those words. That it's just embarrassing to think about now.
But one that really hit home with me was Aaron Jones.
Oh, yes.
Holy cow.
I mean, you talk about a guy who is defying all the odds of societal odds of just where he came from and his story and the issues with his own mother, and to just see his positivity and his talent and his abilities coming through his music in such a powerful way, and his influences from Stevie Ray Vaughan to Jimi Hendrix, and his ability with guitar and his collaborative efforts with other amazing artists. I really enjoyed his, and not only that, but just his tie to the universe and to being centered and to giving out more than taking, and just really refreshing to see that point of view. And from a young man who's got a lot of talent and got a lot of amazing opportunity in front of him. And so I think it's only a matter of time until Aaron gets a much larger stage and a much larger platform. The man is far too talented.
You are so right.
And is his band. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, all of them.
I lied one too many times, ignored the tears she cried, apologized, but she heard it all before. I'm out of lies to say, and how I dream of yesterday. I did it to myself again. Self-destruction always wins.
This goes out to any artist or musician out there. If you really want to be great at what you do, you have to understand one thing, and that's where we all have this one collective consciousness. In order to feed the collective consciousness, you need to stand for something. That requires people to really go inside themselves and figure out what's going on with them. And the more that you find that in your center, the more you find your purpose, the more the world around you is going to start to reflect those changes, and your life will immediately change.
I really enjoyed that podcast, and I promise is the last musician, and then I'm going to give you one more that's non-musician, but Lloyd Buchanan. What can we say about Lloyd?
Mm-hmm. Love that man.
Intentional?
Yes.
Yes. Was that not just an amazing? I mean, there's Tama, and I remember you calling me on a cell phone, and you're trying to get in, and he's playing a show, and it's raining, and you're trying to get backstage, and he was supposed to give you his number, and you're trying to connect with him, and it's all this back and forth coordination and logistical nightmare in the Seattle rain that night.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, he comes in the studio. It was like 9:00 your time, and we just had an incredibly blessed conversation with an incredibly talented singer who's part of the Alabama Shakes, and which is an amazing band in and of themselves. And I'm just so blessed that we got to share his story.
Yes. Yep. And then Nick and I got to have breakfast with him because he was here for Sasquatch over the summer. And sorry that you missed out on that one, but yeah.
Well, and then you and I got to go to Columbus, and we got to see his whole studio.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
What?
His studio. Yes.
Oh, man.
In Georgia. Absolutely. Yeah.
Columbus, Georgia. It's about 90 miles south of Atlanta. He's got a whole setup. With he's even got the old Hammond organ in there.
Yep.
Wow.
He's got little rooms where they can have just drums, and then with windows.
Just isolate them.
Yep.
And okay.
Yep. So they can go to town, do whatever they want, and then another place where you can have guitar, and Brittany Howard, the lead singer of Alabama Shakes, was there with him just like the day or two before we were there.
Mm-hmm.
Working on cutting some new music for their next album.
Oh, cool.
He's got an apartment there too, so you can stay there. Bed, shower, the whole thing, so you can hang
just
out.
Work all night if you want, and then crash. And there's a restaurant, right downstairs. They can send up food for you. And...
Yeah, I remember him talking about that. Like, it's the whole shebang. It's all, you can record there, you can sleep there, you can go eat there, because when you're recording with a band, you kind of want it to be all contained in one area. When you're going through that process.
Well, and you don't want people to know you're there either. Nick.
Right.
It's kind of like under the radar kind of thing. It's like, oh, Brittany Howard of the Alabama Shakes. You're gonna have press and potentially.
And where they are,
paparazzi.
It's like Mayberry. Seriously, it looks like Mayberry, like Andy Griffith's show.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like small town. Seriously,
exactly.
Small town, and it's so indescript. You would never know that there was amazing artists there,
going in and out,
just that people from the heavy there. I mean, it's really cool.
Unbelievable.
Being on the road as much as we have been with the Alabama Shakes, it's having to be intentional. I think that's been something that I've having to really learn and practice this year, is to be intentional about every step. So even, hey, I would love for, to have some time. This year, I was able to still take him to Disney World, to SeaWorld, and all those things, simply because, to plan your life accordingly. One hard lesson that I'm having to learn, even in music and setting a set list for a concert, I've said to myself, here's a set list. This is how it's going to go, point blank. So I've had a chance to really prepare. We've talked through it. We've considered other options, and this is how we laid out the night to go. So this is how we do it. Sink or swim, this is how we're going to do it. And part of that is even how you choose to balance life at home. A good friend of mine sat me down one day and asked me to write out a schedule of my life. And he would say, so what is your time with faith and God? What is your time with your family? What is your time you want to just use to write? What time do you want to just sit and do nothing and watch TV? Schedule in time to watch TV and just be you. And I think part of what is helping me throughout this year, even in the process, is to be intentional about what I do with time. 1 month you're on tour every week of the month, and you come home the last week and you realize you're going to sit at home for the next month. What do you do? And so I think the short answer is we have to learn to be intentional. And that's not something I'm going to sit here and tell you that I've mastered. It's something I'm still working on and learning.
So the last one, and this is not to slight anybody else, because let me tell you something. Barry Friedman, check out that podcast.
Yes.
That podcast is amazing. And John Williard's podcast is amazing. Jen Grisani's amazing. But and then we can go down the list. They're all really good. We're all really proud. The three of us, I know, are really proud of all of these podcasts. But the last one I just wanted to highlight that I thought had a really profound impact on me, I know it did for Tama as well, is this amazing guy who is leading the Fresh Life Church movement in Montana.
Right.
And has really started to gain a platform in larger religious circles.
Yes.
For being a really profound messenger. And we got, of God and of Christ, and we got an opportunity to talk to Levi Lusko. And just amazing. And I'm going to throw this to you, Tama, because I want you to talk about where the title for the podcast came from, Seeing the Unseen.
Seeing the Unseen.
And I just felt like that was a really impactful podcast.
Yes. And that came from a chapter in his book that he wrote, Through the Eyes of a Lion, which is a story about his own personal journey of faith and being a guy who, young man, young family, beautiful wife and kids, and losing his daughter, Lenia, at age 5 to a horrific asthma attack right at Christmas. And she was this beautiful girl whose name means lion. And she had this wild mane of hair and was just full of life and full of adventure. And they had some really, really profound discussions in her short little life. One of the things that she asked was, her dad was, how do you get to heaven? And as he was tucking her in, and he said, well, there's Jesus. And she said, yeah, I know all that. But like, how do you get to heaven? Like, do you go in a car?
Mechanically.
How do you get there? And he was like, wow, she is talking about transportation. And before he could even come up with like a 5-year-old answer that she would even, because nobody really knows. She decided.
Right.
She was like, she felt like there was going to be a flying horse that was going to come get her. That was it. It was going to be a flying horse. And that was it. She was totally satisfied with that answer. And that's
amazing.
It's like the most amazing answer ever, right? So, I am waiting for a flying horse now, and I'm going to, take my journey on my flying horse, and I know you feel the same way.
Exactly. And I think one thing too, that is just such an amazing out of the mouth of babes, right? Of children,
yes.
That just cut through the haze and go, okay, well, I'm going to get there on a winged horse.
Right,
I don't know how you're going to get there, but this winged horse is going to come get me and take me there.
Yep.
I think the one other thing from that podcast that was really
was
and this is applicable for everything. Yeah, that even Nic's talking about 2016 being somewhat of a jarring year for a lot of people for a lot of reasons.
Gosh. Yeah.
Is the story that he tells about Gehazi in that situation.
When Elisha being hunted by the enemies of Israel because of his ability to, the Bible says he could hear a country away what the king was whispering in his bedroom, and so he could, of course, anticipate the other army's movements and report it back to the Israelite king, and so they put a price on his head and they were going to kill him, and so he's in his house with his servant Gehazi, and they're hunkered down, and Gehazi opens the door and sees 100,000 soldiers of the enemy all surrounding them, and he's just like, we're dead meat. And he tells his master, like, hey, we're gone, and there's an army outside. And Elijah is just not fazed at all, not at all in the least bit concerned. And he says, don't worry about it, there's more on our side than there are on their side. And Gehazi looks again, he's like, there's 100,000 of them out there, and then in here there's just me and you. What in the world are you thinking? And then Elisha realizes that Gehazi is only looking at the situation from a human point of view, from the natural. And so what he does is he says, God, open up Gehazi's eyes that he may see. So he looks again, and this time he sees that there's an angelic army full of God's warriors who, by the way, I mean, one Old Testament angel could defeat 185,000 troops in one night, just one of them. And there's an entire angelic army up in the hills surrounding the army that was surrounding him. And so what he realized is that the thing that was surrounding him was itself surrounded by God. But what's crazy is the Bible does not say that the army from heaven came when his eyes were opened. I believe that the army was always there. He just didn't have the faith to see it, the capacity to see it until God opened up his eyes. And so the whole point is every day, every moment, every second of our lives, we are tempted to either look at things through a human point of view. I could come into this phone call, this interview, just from the human, just say, okay, here's two people calling from Seattle and Atlanta. Or if I look at it from the divine, I know that God's got a plan for your life. I know that every person listening to this podcast, no matter how hard of a day they've had, whether it was hard or easy to get the kids into the car, whether there's unfinished laundry to do at home, no matter what's going on, like God's got a plan today. He's got a purpose. So even me being on this call, if I can encourage one person, it's worth it. And the point is, are we going to look at situations through the human, through the natural, or are we going to look at them through the lens of faith? And that's really what I wrote the book Eyes of a Lion about, to try and help myself and anybody I can to look at life and not just see physical, but to see invisible things.
I think that's a perfect way to end our podcast, is just realizing that there's a bigger picture out there and that it's not what you think it is or what you're feeling hopeless about, because there's a bigger army of angels out there and God surrounding us, our problems, our issues, our hopes and dreams.
It's not us. It's not just us.
Exactly.
It can't be just us.
Yes.
You know, if it's who wants to live a life that's all about us? You know, I mean, right?
Well,
I mean,
it's
a
pretty sad and unfulfilling.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And I am thankful, let me just say, and I am thankful, lastly, not only for the opportunity to do this podcast, but for both you and Nick, because I think together the three of us are doing an incredible job of just putting out really great content that has value and that resonates with people in ways we may never know and may never see. But you know what? We're committed to this. We love it. We love each other. And I am just thankful that we're having this opportunity to do this together.
Ah, that's awesome, John.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you. And
Yeah.
not just to pat ourselves, on the back, but because I'm thankful for both of you guys. But you know what? Can you imagine the responses that we've gotten on Facebook and Twitter for True North Story? Which is, at True North Story or facebook.com/True North Story. We are hearing from people from literally around the world that they are being touched, that they are feeling motivated and encouraged, and they're taking steps in their lives to make changes because of the people that we bring into our True North Story family, and they get to hear about it. So that's very, very, very exciting. We love our audience.
I know that 2017 is going to be even more, we're going to reach more people, and more people are going to engage and interact with True North Story. We're building the brand. We're committed to growing the brand. We want to thank our partner, Seattle Alternative Radio,
yes,
which also airs our podcast. And we're looking for even larger megaphones to spread the True North Story goodness as well. So.
Absolutely.
More to come on that in 2017.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to True North Story, the series. Follow us on Twitter @True North Story. And tune in next time for another True North Story.
Take me to church, I worship like a